So here we are. It's a Saturday night, 12:20 in the morning. Let's look. I'm still a rookie when it comes to doing these lives. So, I don't know how to get people to watch. So this is more about me venting. And we're talking Rolly Romero and Ismael Barroso. And I thought that Barroso was winning the fight. He dropped Rolly in the third round. And I don't know what more to say. I don't know what else to say. As much as I love the sport of boxing, boxing continues to shit on itself and shoot itself in the foot. You had a 40-year-old fighter fighting Rolly Romero, who has done nothing in the sport of boxing. I respect fighters. I don't call fighters bums. I respect any fighter, man or woman, who gets into the ring. But Rolly Romero talked his way into a fight. Rolly Romero talked his way into a fight with Tank Davis and got dropped and stopped with one shot. Somehow he parlayed that into a title fight a year later without a fight in between against a 40-year-old fighter. By the way, the link is in. So if anyone wants to join me live, I don't know who's up this late at night. But he parlayed getting knocked out into a title shot against a 40-year-old fighter. Now, of course, he was supposed to fight the champion. The champion, Puello, was found guilty of using PEDs. So in steps the number one contender, 40-year-old Ismael Barroso. And Rolly Romero fought like a guy who didn't deserve a title shot. What did he do to deserve a title shot? He got knocked out by Tank Davis. He talked his way into the Tank Davis fight. 40-year-old Barroso was schooling him all night long, dropped him in the third round, was winning the fight. In the ninth round, he was pushed down. That wasn't a knockdown. That was a push down. And then Tony Weeks stopped the fight. Tony Weeks should be suspended. He should be suspended, but he won't be because boxing is a sport that shits on itself. It shits on itself constantly, all the time. Tony Weeks should be suspended. Maybe I missed something. Is there a valid reason why Barroso? Is there a valid reason why that fight should have been stopped? Because I didn't see it. And I watched the replays. I didn't see it. I don't. It's just frustrating when you watch a fight and you see what's happening. You see that Rolly Romero is not experienced. He's not that good. He relies on his power. And when his power doesn't serve him, he's lost. He was lost in this fight. Barroso is experienced. He's 40 years old. He's a southpaw. He constantly had his lead foot on the outside of Rolly. He was getting the better of Rolly all night long. And then Tony Weeks does what he does. And boxing is such an effed up sport that shits on itself all the time. Tony Weeks will not be suspended. And boxing just goes on. And let's stop. Showtime, I used to work for HBO. And HBO pushed certain fighters to be stars. And somehow Showtime is attached itself to Rolly Romero. And what Rolly Romero does, he doesn't even talk shit in a good way. He just curses and tries to put people down. He's not witty. He talked his way into the Tank fight. He curses a lot. That's what he does. He has nothing on his resume. Talks his way into the Tank fight, gets dropped and stopped with one shot. And not too long ago, there was footage from a sparring session of him getting dropped by another southpaw, some kid. I don't remember his name. He had a few fights. Um, and then what happens? He gets dropped again in the third round by a 40-year-old fighter. And Barroso, I don't want to discredit him. Bruce, 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 if you want to come on, um, I think I put the I think I put the link in. So if oh Bruce, there you go. I see you. Hang on. All right, hang on. Add to stream. There he is.
My brother George, how are you, man?
Bruce, I'm pissed just like you. You are right. That is worse than Weaver Dokes. That's worse than Weaver Dokes. I don't do lives often, Bruce, because I'm not seasoned like you are. And but
Wow,
that was maybe the worst stoppage I've ever seen.
I just covered I just did a live for the fight, man. I had a few people on there with me. I was on for 4 hours. The undercard was decent, but you know the whole stoppage. I got a sour taste in my mouth. I couldn't. Deplorable. I'm George. I'm not going to dirty up your channel, bro. But that effing sucked, bro. That was the worst I've ever seen in my life.
Terrible.
The worst I've ever seen in my life.
Bruce, I don't do this. I don't really go live, but I'm watching Rolly get schooled by a 40-year-old fighter. And first of all, that knockdown was a push down. It was a push down, but that's okay. You know, sometimes refs miss the call. But he didn't get hit to be stopped. And Jim Gray at the end said that Tony Weeks refused to talk to them, and the Nevada Athletic Commissioner refused to talk to them. There's no accountability. It's like this is the only sport that they can shit on a sport and it just keeps going. There's no ramifications. No one gets penalized. I mean, we should be used to this. You and I as boxing fans, right?
Well, this whole Rolly Romero thing, this is this this is a game. This is PBC. PBC knows Rolly is a moneymaker,
Completely.
and they're giving this fight was in the bag. I thought it was going to go to the decision. I thought it was going to be a highly disputed decision in Rolly's favor. I was telling out to my cats on there, but when we saw this stoppage, but I mean, you got to look at the big picture of this, man. Rolly all of a sudden gets a shot at the WBA junior welterweight title, coming off a loss.
Right.
The guy he was supposed to fight, the champion, he gets popped for a bad urine. He's made the champion recess. They bring in this 40-year-old guy that looks closer to 50. There's no now. In the meantime, there's no Super WBA champ. This is all the Reggie belt. The last Super champ was Josh Taylor.
Right.
And so they're not even mentioning the Super championship. But I think what they have in mind is, I think they're going to slip that to Tank because they're going to find what was the champ's name? I can't remember it right now, but he was going to fight Tank in this fight. I could pull it up because I've been reading it all talking about it all night. But you know how I am with names. But
wait, Bruce, you did a live for 4 hours?
Yeah, bro. I wasn't even going to come on here. I shut down. I saw you on here doing the live. And then I saw you drop the link. I said, shit, I was going to go to bed. I still haven't put the dog out. I got to brush my teeth. I mean, bro, I'm up. This is 12:30. But I'm so wired. This was so terrible. This is like watching somebody get shot. What are you going to do? Just go to bed and close your eyes? I mean, this was a wrong. This is terrible for boxing. Boxing's in bad enough of fucking shape, bro. And they got to do this. This is.
See, that's exactly why I went live, because I'm sitting there and I'm watching him lose the fight. I'm watching him lose, and then the way it was stopped, and I really thought I missed something. I said, did I blink? Maybe, because sometimes refs see things that we don't see, and sometimes a guy is buzzed and we don't see it. Then we see the replay and we say, you know what? He was right. The fighter was buzzed. He wasn't. And it was like I'm looking at your quote, worse than Weaver Dokes, and it was. And the bad thing is, Bruce, you and I both know that there's going to be no ramifications. I'm sure Barroso is going to protest, but what does that mean? He's not going to
Well,
win. Tony Weeks is going to keep reffing. You said it, man. This fight was in the bag. This fight was in the bag. This
well, the
I'm
good
not saying
thing
it
about
was
it, the
fixed,
good thing,
but
though, George, the good thing about it is people like us, people like the whole YouTube. This is going to blow up tomorrow. They're going to be showing clips of it. They'll be showing that knockout. Where the conspiracy busters over here, bro? This is the Kennedy assassination. We're on that grassy knoll, and we got film, we got receipts. They're not going to get away with this, bro. This sucked. YouTube has got to rise to the occasion here. George, you just started it right here, man. I'm gonna right now. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this. I'm gonna fucking share it. Make sure people see this tonight. Make sure if my fucking cats on Twitter and on Facebook see this right now, because this has got to be seen, man. This has absolutely got to be seen.
man, and it was like a typical night where I wanted to see the main event on ESPN. I want to see. I can't even pronounce the guy's name, but I want to see the middleweight champ. I want to see him fight. Luckily, he knocked out Butler in the second round, so that I went from there to the Romero fight. But like Showtime, they're
Oh,
I work
you
for
missed
HBO.
fight. You missed fight of the year.
I,
Sims Jr.
I
Sims
saw the
Jr.
end of that. I did see the end of that. I saw the last 3 rounds. I saw the last 3 rounds, and that's a real fight. I work for HBO, and a lot of people assume that or accused HBO of building fighters that weren't really that good into being better than they were. Showtime now is attaching itself to Romero, and now you tell me, Bruce. Romero, to me, talked himself into a fight with Tank. He talked himself into a fight with Tank. He got dropped, stopped with one shot. Hasn't fought since then. And somehow he parlayed that into a title fight with Puello, who popped dirty for PEDs. And then this happens with Barroso. Let's stop and let's stop. Rolly says I'm going to be the face of boxing. I'm the best shit talker in the game, and let's stop this. He's not a star. He's not even that good of a fighter. He doesn't have that much talent. He looked lost in there against a 40-year-old fighter. He looked absolutely lost. But yet he's the WBA champion of the world.
Somebody loves Tank. Somebody loves fucking Rolly. I'm sorry. Somebody obviously loves Rolly. Skywalker. Yeah. Hey, bro. Skywalker's out there. Did you see what Skywalker did last night?
I didn't.
He got 8,000 subs last night. He busted the internet. He did a show with his Filipino friends, and he got 8,000 subs in one night. Didn't buy them like you hear a lot of these channels. Oh, you bought your subs. He earned those subs. He stayed up all night. He did a show. He showed a fight. They love him.
Awesome, man.
He has over 9,000 subs in. Well, you look at you, George, man. I had more than you a year ago. You got 4,000 now. I'm still stuck at 800, man.
Bruce, you know what's funny? I'll tell you, I don't know a thing about YouTube. I post a lot of shorts, longer form things. I post in the shorts. I did a
short attention span. Everybody watches.
I did a short a couple of years ago. I did a short piece on the Norton Holmes fight. And I built that into a short like 2 months ago. That thing had 1.4 million views. I mean, I was getting subscribers every day, like dozens of subscribers. I have no clue why that 60-second short went viral. I have no clue. I don't know YouTube. I don't know how to get followers. This is like a whole mystery.
Me either, man.
But Skywalker, Hey, by the way, Skywalker says I'm 41. There's no way that guy's younger than me. Barroso, I remember Barroso. Like I saw a few of his fights years ago, but when I saw the picture of him and uh and Rolly Barroso, no offense to Barroso, Barroso looks like he's 65 at
Oh
least,
yeah. And
but
after the fight, he looked closer to 80 after the fight.
he didn't fight like that, and he was
No, no.
kicking Rolly's ass. He was kicking Rolly's ass. I don't know, man. I don't do these lives often because again, I just had to release. Everyone's asleep in my house, and I'm watching this fight, and
Same
I'm
with me.
watching it, thinking, "Oh man, Rolly's getting his ass kicked. He's gonna lose." And then Tony Weeks just you don't want to say the fight was fixed or that Tony Weeks is paid, but I would love to know why Tony Weeks stopped that fight. I would love to hear his explanation, especially after he sees replays.
Go watch the fight. Watch Tony Weeks' eyes as soon as he stops the fight. It looks like he was resigned to. He did what he had to do. It almost looked like Pontius Pilate. I got my 30 pieces of silver, and now he has to live with himself. Now he's going to be the main man of scrutiny. Joey Curtis. Nobody knows who Joey Curtis is except
Right,
us, George. But his name will
right,
live forever.
right. Yeah, that was
Anyway, man, I was on for 4 hours. I'm glad I got 15 minutes with George over here, man. I got to go let the dog out. I got to take a leak. I got to kiss the old lady.
hey, do your thing, man. I appreciate you coming on. I'm
George,
just
tell
an
your wife
unhappy
Happy Mother's
boxing
Day.
fan venting.
Tell your wife Happy Mother's Day.
I'll do that. Same to
And
you and everyone in your family who's a mom.
well, it's already over, but it was Joe Lewis's birthday today too.
The Brown Bomber. Happy birthday,
The
Joe.
brown bomber, man, the brown bomber. Hey, peace, my brother.
All right, brother.
Skywalker, salute to you, my man.
All right, my friend. Skywalker, if you want to jump on, jump on. At this point, I'm just an unhappy boxing fan venting. I'm just venting. Um, I think my camera's dirty, but I saw Rolly Romero, who was on his way to losing a fight, and Tony Weeks jumped in and stopped the fight. I still don't understand why he stopped the fight, and it's a shame because Barroso's 40 years old, and he probably won't get another shot at the title. So you have to feel for that guy. He's not getting better. He's past his prime. I can't tell you who Barroso fought in the past. I don't know his career that well. I know he was beating Rolly Romero's ass tonight, and he ended up losing a fight. He's not in his prime. I know that because he's 40 years old. Unless you're taking something to help you, you're not a better athlete at 40 than you were at 30 and 25. You're just not. And he was robbed tonight against Tony Weeks by Tony Weeks. He was robbed, and it's sad. So you have to feel for Barroso. You have to feel for Barroso because that was his shot to become champion, and Tony Weeks deprived him of it. And guess what? There won't be any ramifications from that. So, Logan, why don't you jump on with me? Logan, will Cotto versus Margaret 2 Part 2 come soon? Yes, I will definitely put that out. Logan is a big Margarito fan, um, and he's talking about the rematch of Cotto and Margarito. I was a producer on that 24/7. It was a 2-part series. Unfortunately, only 2 parts. And that's what Logan. Yes, Logan. There will be a part 2, but tonight we're talking about Tony Weeks. Tony Weeks again. All right, Logan. Well, next time, brother, I would love to talk to you. Um, Tony Weeks should be suspended. It was a terrible stoppage. I mean, we're all boxing fans. Anyone who watches this is a boxing fan. We've all seen terrible stoppages. Barroso didn't really get hit. He wasn't buzzed. Um, I don't know what to say. But again, this is the only sport that shits on itself all the time, and I try not to curse, but it happens, and it happened tonight. Boxing just can't get things right for the fans too, because Janabek um, had his main event on ESPN, and the main events on ESPN and Showtime again, they would have been going off at the same time. ESPN's went off a little earlier. Janabek got a knockout in the second round, so there was no having to go back and forth. But that's another thing. It's just disrespectful to boxing fans. You know, these networks don't care about boxing fans. They have their main events going on at the same time. They don't care. They don't care about fans. That being said, the fight I was going to watch, I mean, if I had to choose, I was going to watch Romero because Romero, he's talked a lot of shit. He's talked a lot of shit. And he said that a lot of people complained about him getting a title shot. Did he deserve it? No, he didn't deserve it. But in boxing, that doesn't matter. People get title shots all the time that don't deserve them. So you can throw that out the window. Rolly said, I've got Rolly privileges. So if you don't like it, don't watch. And it's clear that he has Rolly privileges because he hasn't fought in a year, almost a year, since getting knocked the F out. And again, he parlayed that into a title shot and then was getting schooled for 8 rounds, 8+ rounds. And then Tony Weeks stops the fight. Boxing bully. True. Boxing bully, someone I respect. This is a man who knows boxing. And if you want to come on, Barack, please click on the link. There's a link somewhere up at the top. I don't know, man. I don't do these lives often. I think I've done a handful, but this is a good release. And boxing is the only sport. Boxing is the only sport where things like this happen. Tony Weeks stops the fight. I guarantee you, Tony Weeks, there'll be no ramifications. He'll just continue to ref. He wouldn't speak to Showtime. The Nevada Athletic Commission wouldn't speak to Showtime, and that's telling. I think that's very telling. And yes, Logan, Rolly struggled from the first round. It was clear Rolly. I have to say again, I respect all fighters, but Rolly doesn't really know how to fight. He relies on his power. His footwork is terrible. He doesn't have a jab. He barely throws combinations. If he can land a bomb, then he'll get you in trouble and he'll win the fight. If he can overwhelm you, he'll win the fight. And Barroso's 40 years old. Barroso's got a lot of experience. Boxing bully. Am I saying anything here that is not true? I don't know, man. It's just sometimes it's frustrating. It's frustrating being a boxing fan. And this is one of those nights. And unfortunately, somehow, Rolly is I think the WBA junior welterweight champ. I think it was for the WBA strap. So he's a champion. He's a champion because Tony Weeks gave him a title. And I would love to hear anyone defend Tony Weeks. I would love to hear anyone's defense for Tony Weeks for stopping this fight. Because, first of all, the knockdown in the 9th wasn't even a knockdown. Rolly caught him with a shot, but then he pushed him down. And but again, I was saying this to Bruce. in the heat of the moment, sometimes you miss a knockdown, and the ref and Tony Weeks made a mistake. It wasn't a knockdown, but then stopping the fight when Barroso wasn't even hit, he stops the fight. I don't know, man. Barack, I'm I'll be tuning in when you and Ak Kui, how you doing? Come on live with me. Someone come live with me. Let someone vent with me. Someone has to be pissed like me that Rolly Romero is a champion. But Barack, I'm curious to see what you and Ak talk about when it comes to this fight. Because what I saw, I'm not a fighter. Have I boxed? Yeah, I boxed. I've been in the ring. I boxed, but I'm not a fighter. And I never professed to be a fighter. Um, but I saw a guy who was getting schooled. He was getting schooled from the first round, got dropped in the third. He looked like he was completely lost in there. And man, you don't want to say a fight is fixed. So boxing bully, let's see. Boxing bully, it's very sad. It wouldn't be so bad if Romero was winning, but he was losing on every scorecard, was gifted a knockdown, and was never hurt or even hit during the stoppage. The ref has too much power. I jumped on this live pretty much as soon as the fight was over. So Barack, I didn't even see the scorecards. I saw Steve Farhood's scorecard, so I assumed that Barroso was winning. But yeah, it is sad. It is sad because there's another side. There's Barroso, who again he's 40 years old, probably won't get another shot. He probably won't. Um, and he ends up losing a fight that he was probably on his way to winning a championship. And every fighter, if you're a fighter, if you're a fight fan, every fighter wants to become a champion. And Barroso had his shot tonight, and I thought he was well on his way. I thought he was well on his way to winning. And look, it was only the ninth round. There was still a lot. There was still a quarter of the fight to go. Anything could happen. So I could never say that Barroso was going to win. No, there was no doubt. There's always a doubt. And the one thing um that Rolly has is power. It's the one thing he has is power. And anything can happen in boxing. But to have a fight like that stopped, man, I feel for Barroso. So it's 12:48. It looks like no one else is gonna come live with me. Boxing bully, why don't you come on here, man? Quick, come on. Um, I'm pretty much ranted out. I don't do these lives very often, but I just I was pissed. Like most boxing fans probably were. I was pissed because I'm sorry. That fight should not have been stopped. It shouldn't have been stopped. And Showtime, they've and PBC, they've hitched on this Rolly Romero is going to be a star thing. No, he's not. No, he's not. He's not going to be a star. But it doesn't really matter what I say. He is the WBA, I believe WBA junior welterweight champion of the world off that fight. Yeah, Kwee. Yeah, well, let me put your. I was so confused. So was I. I mean, I'm like, wait, what? And Kwee, when he stopped it, I literally thought maybe I missed something because you have to give the referee the benefit of the doubt because he's closer than any of us are to the fighters. So sometimes refs see things that we don't see. Church in the morning. All right. I hear you, Barack. I got you. Iceman, jump on with me. Crazy stoppage. But sometimes the refs see things that we don't see, that we can't see. So I thought it was a bad stoppage. I said, you know what? Maybe Rolly landed a shot and just had Barroso dazed. I didn't see it. Maybe it was hard to see. I watched every single replay that Showtime showed. And Rolly, first of all, shouldn't have been a knockdown. That was not a knockdown. It was a push down. And um, he didn't land a shot that hurt Barroso. He didn't land a shot. And yes, that's what I'm saying, Kwee. I don't know what to say. I'm a football fan. I'm a baseball fan. I'm a basketball fan, but boxing is my number one sport. I love the sport, and it shits on itself all the time. It shits on itself, and that's why people don't take it seriously. That's why people don't take this sport seriously. When I try to talk boxing and explain boxing to my friends that aren't boxing fans, I sound like an idiot. They say, wait, how many champions are there? Well, there's four. Well, sometimes five. Sometimes there's a super champion and there's an interim champion. There's no logic. It doesn't make sense. And I sound like an idiot. It's the only sport where something like this could happen. It's the only sport where something like this could happen. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there'll be an investigation. Tony Weeks will be suspended, and Tony Weeks has been a great referee. Um, he's been an outstanding referee. he f- he he effed up tonight. He effed up tonight. He effed up tonight, and he cost the guy Barroso, a 40-year-old fighter, getting probably his last shot. He cost him a possible championship with his stoppage, and then they won't talk to the media. That's the thing. That's another thing about no. I think someone on the Showtime broadcast said, "Let's hope that there's accountability." And there's no accountability in boxing. Man, it is hard. It's hard to be a boxing fan. It's hard to be a boxing fan because there's no accountability. The sport's just going to go on and it'll be like this never happened. Rolly's going to be the champ. It'll be like this never happened. And people will forget about Barroso. I don't know if he'll fight again, but he'll fade off, into the sunset. And he's got to live with this, with knowing that he was robbed of the chance to win the belt. I won't say he was going to win, but he had a chance to win and he was robbed. And it's the only sport like this. Did I see the Butler fight? Yes, I did. This was another thing, Kwee. Like that boxing just shits on its fans. Like they show main events at the same time. They just don't care. They don't care. ESPN and Showtime, you suck. Get it together. Get it together. But I did see Janabek's fight, and he looked good in this one. He looked like the destroyer that they're making him out to be. And I think people assumed he was going to knock Butler out, and he did. I think this was a fight he did what he was supposed to do. Iceman. He was winning on scorecards. Look, if anyone wants to jump on live with me, somewhere at the top of this, I'm sorry, I'm kind of a rookie at doing these lives, but at the top of this, there's the link, and I think I can. Let's see, I can copy that. I'm gonna drop it in here again, and I know it's late. So I don't blame anyone for coming in, but it's in there anyway. If anyone wants to jump in, so Iceman. So I didn't stick around long enough to check the scorecards. I assumed he was winning. I assumed that. Did I pin the link? Quickly, did I do that? I thought I did it. I put it in the chat. I don't know. Quickly, I don't know. I don't do these lives. So, but Iceman, I don't know what the scorecards were. I know what Steve Farhood's score was, and I know he had him up I wasn't scoring the fight, and it does. Who cares if I score the fight? But I thought that Barroso was winning, and I don't know what to say. I guess I've been on 35 minutes. I guess I'm all vented out. Unless someone's gonna jump on here live with me. It wasn't a blockbuster night of boxing, but look, I love when they show when there's championship fights. Janovic, all right, Quick, you just don't want to come on. Janovic won, but that fight shouldn't have gone on. Agreed. I don't know who the ref was, but he should have stopped that fight because Butler could have gotten hurt. It's fun. It was a bad night for refs. That fight should have been stopped because Butler could have gotten hurt. And then Tony Weeks robs a fighter of a chance to win a championship. And I know a lot of boxing purists, they don't like to criticize referees. And I usually give them the benefit of the doubt. But there's no way this was a good stoppage. No one can tell me that. I don't care who you are. And like Roy Jones, people I respect the most, I'm not listening. If you tell me that was a good stoppage, unless Barroso says, you know what, I was really hurt, I'm glad the ref stopped it, then maybe I could see it. I don't think that's happening. So, so be it. Rolly is the W boxing do. Rolly is the WBA champ, junior welterweight champ. I think he gets smoked against any of the other champs at 140. But you know what? Showtime will do what a network does, and PBC will do what PBC does. They will hype Rolly, and Rolly will have some excuses, and he'll say, it took me a while, but I was starting to hunt him down, and they'll act like this fight never happened. And look, I think that Rolly gets smoked against Matias. He gets smoked against Prograis. He gets smoked against Taylor. But we'll see. They have to fight the fights. It was just frustrating. Because I really wasn't rooting for either guy. But and I didn't really know Barroso that well. I knew some of his history. Didn't know him that well. But as the fight was going on, I started rooting for Barroso. Barroso's 40 years old. He's 40 years old. So I was rooting for him. You just want a fair shot when you're fighting. It's all for Tank. Mayweather paid off everyone. Maybe. Look, I've been a fan of the sport long enough to know that nothing would surprise me. If you said there was a fix in this fight, I'm not saying excuse me, I'm not saying there was a fix in this fight, but if it came out that the fight was fixed, real boxing fans, the OGs, real boxing fans wouldn't be surprised. We wouldn't be surprised. Who would be surprised if there was a fix? There's really nothing that can surprise me or real fans of the sport about boxing. But it was sad because and I'm not even convinced that Barroso certainly didn't have the fight in the bag. I thought he was winning the fight. He was winning the fight. It was only the 9th round. There was still the championship rounds to go. And I mean, he's a 40-year-old fighter and anything could have happened. But to be robbed of the chance to win, it's sad. Yes. Look, you might as well had Stevie Wonder reffing that fight because Tony Weeks was blind. He was blind. He did a terrible job in that fight. He was terrible in that fight. I mean, was he paid off? I don't know. Again, I don't want to start conspiracy theories, but I'm just baffled that the fight was stopped. And again, um, I guess I'm more baffled because nothing's gonna happen. People are gonna wake up tomorrow that didn't see the fight. They'll read the headlines and Romero wins fight on. In fact, I don't even know um, what the headline. So I'm looking at boxing scene. Rolly Romero gets off the floor, gains controversial stoppage of Ismael Barroso in ninth for WBA title. So there it is, controversial stoppage. But guess what? No one cares. No one's gonna press this. G5. G5, why don't you come on with me? I'm kind of out of gas, so I need someone to jump in with me. But I was just venting, man. Um, people will read these headlines, and for a couple of weeks, people will talk about the stoppage and that it wasn't warranted. But then life goes on. Life goes on, and Romero is the WBA champ, and Barroso is 40 years old and probably never gets another title shot and was robbed of his chance. He was robbed by Tony Weeks. Who did he did an awful job. I don't want to curse on this. I'm just I think I do think about the fighters because I respect the fighters and I think about the fighters and I keep thinking about Barroso, how he was robbed in this fight. He was robbed in this fight. He was winning the fight. And Tony Weeks took that away from him. And nothing is going to happen. Iceman, you can always jump on. Bruce was on for a couple of minutes, but he bounced a while ago. Damn, it's been 42 minutes since I've been on. It's 1:02 in the morning. It's Sunday. Kui, happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. And Ismael Barroso, I'm a fan, and I'm sorry that you didn't get to go out like a fighter should go out. You didn't lose that fight. Tony Weeks stole it from you. I don't blame Rolly either. Tony Weeks is the culprit in this. He stole the fight from you. He stole it from you. Someone defend him. Someone defend Tony Weeks, please. Someone jump on or comment or write an article and tell me why Tony Weeks stopped that fight and why it was warranted that he stopped that fight. So, yeah, it's 103. I think there's 3 people watching. I see the little I and it says 3. I had like 7. So for me, that's an all-time high because I don't do these lives often. I don't know what else to say. I've said everything I can say. I'm going to bed. Everybody's asleep in my house. So my hat is off to Ismael Barroso. I thought you fought a hell of a fight. I thought you were winning the fight, Rolly Romero. I thought you were lost every second, but you never stopped trying, and I'll give Romero credit for that. Tony Weeks, you sucked tonight. Tony Weeks, you sucked tonight. You didn't do your job. You didn't do your job. You didn't do your job. So now I've got 0 people watching. But anyway, congratulations to Ismael Barroso. I thought you had no shot in this fight, and you were 40 years old, and you were schooling. You were schooling Rolly Romero, and you were robbed by Tony Weeks. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there will be ramifications. Maybe Tony Weeks will be suspended. Maybe, look, I don't have any. I certainly don't think the WBA is going to do anything about this because, to me, All the boxing organizations suck in their shit. All they care about is money. It's a corrupt sport. It's always been a corrupt sport. And this was too bad. Too bad for Barroso. But anyway, that's all I have. It's 45 minutes. It's 106. Again, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. And see you soon.